Hi, I'm Mark Rogers out here in the sweltering misery of humid Arkansas heat, and I'm here today not to talk to my conservative gun-owning friends, but to talk to liberals or progressives, whatever political banner you may stand under insofar as your philosophy goes. There's something today that I'm going to commit to you as a gun owner and as a fellow American. Too often our conversations go into accusing one another of being this or that is less than American, but the bottom line is liberals, progressives, conservatives, everything in between, and on the outside edges of those are all Americans if they are American citizens. So I'm here today to talk to you, liberal, progressive, whatever your philosophy may be. I'm here to make a commitment to you, and what I'm going to do this right now, just in this commitment, is I'm going to presume to speak for law-abiding gun owners across the country, because I know so many. I have been in contact with so many for the last 15 years all across the country. I know so many gun owners and law-abiding gun owners personally, people who carry guns, who train with them, who work with them for self-defense. I'm going to presume to speak for all law-abiding gun owners in making this commitment to you. And that is, you may hate guns, you may not want anything to do with them, you may want to get rid of them, but here's my commitment to you. If we're ever in the same place, and I'm making this commitment and presuming to speak for all law-abiding gun owners across this country, if we're ever in the same place in some crowded venue somewhere and a shooting breaks out, you won't have a gun because you hate guns. Fine, that's your right not to have one. But what I'm going to tell you is this: if we're ever in the same place, you're anywhere nearby me, I'm not going to stop to ask you whether you're progressive or liberal or conservative. I'm not going to stop to ask you whether you're gay or straight. I'm not going to stop to ask you what you're for or against. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you, get behind me and stay low, and I'll do everything I can to get you out of here alive. That's my commitment to you, and I'm daring to speak for gun owners all across this country who, under those circumstances, with these guns that we carry for self-defense, exercising our Second Amendment rights, we would never stop to ask, what are you, who are you? We'd say, get behind us, stay behind me, I'll keep you safe if I possibly can, and I'll do it at the expense of my own life if I have to. That's a statement and a commitment to you. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask you something. I'm going to ask something of you. That's, of course, well, sure. No, there's no smoke and mirrors here. We're fellow Americans. This argument about gun rights too often takes on this from our side of the fence. From the Second Amendment conservative gun-owning standpoint, is we often refer to our rights. Our rights, our inherent rights, our Second Amendment, our Constitution. But the bottom line is, it's yours too. My right to keep and bear arms, my right to carry this gun that's on my side right here, is your right. You're an American. You have the same right to own, work with, carry firearms for self-defense or whatever reason you want to, legal reason you want to, as I do. My rights are your rights. Your rights are my rights. They're our rights together. The right that I'm talking about right now is our inherent right to keep and bear arms, mentioned in the Second Amendment and protected by that amendment by the statement, shall not be infringed. You see, you have the same right not to own guns, not to touch guns, not to want anything to do with guns, as I have to own one, keep one, use one for self-defense. You have that right, and that's fine. But if you ever come down to a situation in which you find that you come to a place in life where you find yourself, where you feel endangered, where you feel like you need to get something to be able to defend yourself, and you decide that you're going to go get yourself a firearm, do you want that right taken away from you before you're ever able to do it? Now you may think, oh, I'm never going to do that. But keep in mind, over this last year and a half, during times of pandemic and riots and violence for violence sake, millions and millions, an unprecedented number of people bought firearms. Many of those were first-time firearms owners, and many of those were people who were under the banner of progressive and liberal politically. But they decided they needed a firearm for self-defense, for their own protection, and they went and got firearms. Would you want your right taken away to do that before you ever got a chance to, if you thought it came to a point where you thought it was necessary? What I'm asking you here today is not to do anything that you don't want to do. I'm not asking you to go get a gun. I'm not asking you to touch a gun. I'm not asking you to even look at a gun if you don't want to. That's your right not to. What I'm going to ask you to do today is join me as a fellow American. We can fight about all kinds of stuff. We can fight about all kinds of different issues in our world, and we will continue to do that. But what I'm going to ask you to do today is team up with me as an American over dealing with and protecting one inherent right, and that's that right to keep and bear arms. That right is the one right that protects every other right that we have as Americans. Not my right, not just your rights, our rights together as fellow Americans. And so what I'm asking you to do here today, when you see politically and from organizations, groups that are simply trying to disarm honest, law-abiding Americans, I'm asking you to take a stand against that. I'm asking you to take a stand with me to protect our inherent right to protect ourselves from random criminal assault and from tyrannical governments. I'm asking you to protect our inherent right, yours and mine. And I'm asking you to protect the Second Amendment that protects that right with shall not be infringed, along with me. I'm asking you, not as a liberal, not as a progressive, not me as a conservative. I'm asking you as a fellow American to join me in protecting the one right that protects every other right that we have. The right to keep and bear arms and the amendment that says it shall not be infringed. It's not just my right, it's your right too. You don't have to have anything to do with it, but if you ever decide you need it, do you really want it taken away from you? My commitment to you is, if we're ever in the same spot together and something breaks out, you get in behind me, stay low, and I'll do everything I can, including give up my life to keep you safe. I'm asking you to join with me to protect the right to do that in the United States of America as fellow Americans. Thank you, God bless you, and I pray we'll join together in this one issue to keep that one right safe and protected as Americans. I'm Mark Rogers, and I hope to see you soon.